Okay. All right.
Okay, we're back on Harley Smith, the hydroweight champion of the world. I'm the organic mechanic with Kelp4less.com. And here we are again. And I just want to start this out by saying our living water project and our living water product, we finally got some initial testing data, and we did testing before we started living water. And then after 45 days of irrigation with living water, we just wanted to see the reaction in the soil. And so we took the soil test in the same spot, at the same depth, at the same level, in the same area, and we're going to start comparing them side by side. And it was very unique. What we seen with utilizing the living water program is we seen such an increase in the soil of micronutrient availability, phosphorus availability. We almost the phosphorus availability more than doubled. Just that alone is phenomenal, because we all understand, like last week we talked about, just because the phosphate's there doesn't mean the plant's going to get it. And if someone asks me, how can I increase the phosphorus levels in my plants? How are you going to do that? Well, we can do that hydroponically, but in agriculture, in a soil, that's very difficult. I mean, it takes a lot of microbiology to really increase phosphorus uptake in a plant in soil where you really don't have control of it chemically. It's biologically. And so in the soil, what I'm really learning, especially from looking at these tests, is in nature, it's been my experience, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you're the master of this one, but biology always trumps chemistry in the ecosystem of the soil. The biology trumps the chemistry, because how are you going to break the calcium phosphate bond in soil? You you can do that chemically, but it's very expensive. But biology will do that on a nice, even, slow pace. So in soil, I'm going to stand by that. Biology will trump the chemistry if you can create that ecosystem in the soil. So I'm going to hand that off to you and poke holes in that all you want, please, because if I'm speaking, way out of my league, I want to hear it from the master.
Well, I'll say, coming from the hydroponics world
Yeah.
for 30 years. So, most of the time I'm just looking at the ions in hydroponics, because they're, we're just ionic fertilizer salts are what we're using. And when you put them in water, like if you put in monopotassium phosphate, then it's going to split up into potassium and phosphate. And the plant's going to take up the potassium, it's going to take up the phosphate. But in soil, you're right. A lot of those nutrients are locked up in the soil. Now they do become available if they're if those, like we see in a nutrient analysis, soil analysis, you'll see the amount of calcium and zinc. That it is supposedly available, but it's the microbes that make some of those up, and the ones that you're talking about, phosphorus, which is a limiting factor in soil, and some of the trace elements, the transition metals, those are locked. Those are very unavailable, especially when the pH gets up a little bit. So microbes, you need the microbes to be able to process those minerals, to unlock them from the soil, unlock them from the organic matter, so that they become available to the plant to take up. And there's more. And the other thing that I get really excited about is that there's communication between the plants and the microorganisms. So not only does the iron become more available, um, because of the chelates that the microbes are making to make it available, um, but they're literally stimulating the plant to take it up. They're literally communicating through volatile organic compounds to to change the iron homeostasis in the plant. So, wow, I mean, that's a whole nother level of availability to the plant. And that you can't put that in a bottle. I can't, in my hydroponics, I can take my iron chelate, yay, it's already chelated, woo, and mix it up, and the plant's going to take it up. But I can't tell the plant to take more up, you know? So, because I
That's
can't
right.
put those volatile compounds in there. So
That's
yeah,
right. That's
nature.
right. Yeah, and this particular field that we're doing, we're only doing half of the field. So half the crop will have the living water program, the other half won't. But we're dealing with a pH of like 8.2 in the soil, and
Mm,
we're dealing with the pH 8 of water. And so the odds are stacked against us already, just starting out. And to see that much phosphorus become available, boy, that again, that was not through chemistry. I really feel and believe that that's through biology, because when I was out there taking the soil test, we found earthworms when we were doing our soil digs, and I showed them to the farmer, and he said, I've never seen earthworms in my field. So I know we're heading in the right direction. And we're going to do crop analysis, leaf analysis, and so on and so forth. And I am expecting to show a much more nutrient dense finished crop on our test area versus the control. And for the cost of this program, it is going to be very beneficial to the farmer, because he was looking at the soil test with me, and he said, well, now we've got all this phosphate available. I'm not going to have to spend any money on phosphate. And I said, well, hold on. Again, just because it's showing available on the soil test doesn't mean, let's make sure the plants take it up. And, we will have to keep adding nutrients. You can't throw, fertilizer out the window yet, where the biology is going to make everything work better, and you can use less nutrients, which a less cost, which means for the farm, more productive, per acre program. So I'm very, very excited.
hmm Yeah, that's good advice. In fact, you may, over time when we figure that, get everything dialed in, you may find there's certain elements that the plant is depleting faster from the soil,
Right.
that you may want to say, okay, well, yeah, I mean, we don't see a deficiency of potassium, you know, but what would happen if we added some more potassium so the plant could, so whatever the limiting factor is no longer a limiting factor. Because we've seen that with biostimulants too. Like the one trial that I saw in Belgium when they were doing the biostimulant testing for bloom stimulants on sweet peppers. As the plants were putting on more weight with fruit and flowers, and the quality was going up too, by the way. The potassium was being drawn down faster than any other element. So if it was kind of borderline before, it's possible that the plant would take up so much that it really would start to stall out because it would like to have more potassium for
Hmm.
carbohydrate metabolism. So, it works both ways. It's the plant's taking it up more so you don't need as much, but there may be one element or two where you actually want to add a little fertilizer at the right time.
Absolutely.
And it's not
Absolutely.
because the plant needs it, it's only because the plant's growing so much faster and producing so much more.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. A good biological program too, it helps that nutrient management in soil. It does make that a lot easier when you start getting the crop residue, organic matter digesting in the soil. And again, like we always talk about, set yourself up for success. And if you test and if you have a plan, it makes all of that easier. Having a good biologically active soil. And I mean, I've seen that for years. Doing a lot of different programs. And I used to, be totally focused on cover cropping and turning green, back tilling it, light tillage back into the soil. And boy, that
Mhm.
is the best system. But in agriculture on a farm, sometimes you don't have the time to do that. You don't have the equipment to do that, and so on and so forth. And so for some of our larger ag customers, the living water just fits in so well in the way their farm rotation is and their farming practices. So I'm really looking forward to some big progress and big things and good test data. So I emailed that test data over to you. So maybe next week, me and you can just kind of review it and bounce ideas off each other and kind of see what we see. And who knows what will come out of it.
Yeah, let's look. I'll look at some. We'll get some highlights. There's a couple
Yeah.
things. There was, I did look it over, and you have to watch the data. Sometimes they'll make a mistake in the lab, but usually it's a decimal point problem, and it's so obvious. But just to see the trends is so important to see what is trending up, what's trending down over time. You were saying,
Yeah.
and to me, a lot of it's the limiting factor. And we know two of them right off. The two big ones are phosphorus is a limiter. No, nitrogen too is a limiting factor. And here's something interesting with the nitrogen. Yeah, the plants are or the microorganisms are going to take some of that organic nitrogen, some of those amino acids, or even some of the proteins. They're going to start breaking them down, and then they're going to convert them into the ammonium form, which is available to the plant. But here's the other thing: a lot of that nitrogen that they're eating, because microbes need carbon and nitrogen. A lot of that nitrogen they're actually eating up from the organic matter, they're storing in their own bodies. So they when they die, which is not that long, or they're eaten by protozoa, they're going to, or other or earth, then finally into earthworms, that passes through the other microbes and becomes available to the plant again. So it doesn't get washed away from the soil like nitrates. It actually is creating a reservoir of nitrogen, one of those limiting factors. We know about the phosphorus. We see that very quickly. Now, in long term, the mycorrhizal fungi are really good at unlocking phosphorus, but it's amazing that in 45 days, that short a period of time, that the phosphorus solubilizing bacteria can do such a great job of unlocking phosphorus. And that's available right now. That's not have to be available a year from now or months and months from now. So yeah, this is pretty cool. And you're also
Yeah.
building up, like you said, you're building the life in the soil so that over time there'll be that holding it, releasing it, holding it, releasing it, uh, encouraging the plant to take it up. What's going to happen a year from now when this gets dialed in? 2 years from now, this is what
Exactly.
this is what farmers should be doing, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And that organic matter residue you talked about, by the time it goes through the digestion process, I mean, that's a chelated mineral for the plant. I mean, it's sitting
Yeah.
there, it can't erode, it won't volatilize, and it won't leach. I mean, it's sitting there and, wrapped in a nice humus blanket, just waiting for the plant roots to tap into it. I love it. I don't think it gets any better. And I'm very, very, very excited. And to see this in a pH of 8, and, yeah, it is such a struggle to get phosphorus in a lot of these soils out west here. And it's a struggle, believe it or not, for the plant to have enough calcium. Because, we've got
Mm.
6 to 8,000 pounds of calcium per acre from knowing that from our soil tests, but that doesn't mean the plant's going to get it. And it's very frustrating. Calcium and phosphorus, I think, are the two of the hardest things to get into the plant in nature. And that's where the biology moves in. And so hopefully all of our test data will continue to show those trends. And I think we really have something special. And I'm so excited to share all this with you. I can't wait to get your input on all the testing.
Yeah. Hey, there's something too. When we're looking at the test data, we're looking at bulk soil. We're not
Yes,
actually seeing what's actually going on in the rhizosphere.
exactly.
So if we see a general trend in the bulk soil, what's actually happening on the roots, in the root zone? That's where most of the microorganisms are. That's when
Hmm.
it's colonizing the roots. And it's okay, that's feeding on the organic matter in the soil. Yes, There's some decomposition, and we can see that very easily. But that pH in on the root zone might be 3 points lower than the bulk
Exactly.
soil. And we might be at, instead of 8, we might be at 7.6 or something. Still is a little high, but then at the same time, even at the 7.6 on the root zone, then if there's some chelates that are being made, some siderophores by the microbes, they may keep that iron soluble, those trace metals soluble even at that higher pH. So yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm really curious about the leaf data because that's going to show us what the plant's actually taking up, not just but it's exciting what we see in the bulk soil too, because that's
Exactly.
money for the farmer that's saved. But
Yeah,
the quality along with the
I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see the leaf analysis and the actual crop data. And oh boy, I'm just, you can probably see the excitement in me. I mean, we're
yeah
making headway with an affordably priced solution that could really help irrigated farms. Yeah, just
yeah
it's what I like. And this is fun to me. And yeah, I'm so glad I get to share it with you, Harley. And once again, thanks
yeah
for all your help and training and knowledge over the past decades.
and hopefully, God willing, decades to come. I'm not done
Decades
yet.
more. Decades more.
I'm not
That's
done
right.
yet. I'm not in a wheelchair, but you know what? I could be in a wheelchair and just come up here and talk slow.
Yeah, that's right.
But no. But anyway, yeah, it is exciting. I don't want the viewers to think we're doing a commercial on living water. We're not. We're literally talking about the result. We're talking about the things that we already know, but we're seeing it, in a way that is really in a delivery system that hasn't been available to farmers in the past at affordable price. So
Right.
to me, this isn't a commercial. This is just the excitement of seeing what we already know being applied in a way that we can measure right now.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like talking about your kids, like, oh my gosh, I'm first place in a spelling bee. You're excited, it's things like that. To me, that's kind of, what I compare it to with all the hard work and effort and things that we put into this. It's good to see it being utilized and working. And this could just be the start. I think we're just scratching the surface of things we're going to learn. And, you know, uh, we've had a lot of downfalls in the past, and I expect some downfalls with this too. But that's how you learn. That's how you get better. That's how you improve. Just like growing, when we have a wreck, we really learn a lot from a wreck because we don't want to do that again. Yeah, we can't afford to do that again. So we have to
Yeah,
celebrate our successes and really dive deep into our failures to to really
yeah,
fine tune programs. So it
yeah.
happens all the time.
Yeah. I know for hobbyists, a lot of times we learn by trial and error. That's our main way of learning. But commercial growers really have to learn by trial and success. We have to have a level of success, and then our trial and error is really trial and success to improve from year to year. But I tell you what, though, when I even work in commercial grows where something goes wrong, like we have a drought. I mean, somebody forgot to turn a valve on for irrigation indoors under lights, and then see the results. Oh my goodness. That's actually where I learned the most. So for me, I go, wow, look what happened. They had 3 days of drought. A third of the crop we lost, but look what the terpene profile was afterwards. It's something you'd never see because you'd never create drought on purpose. Yeah. So anyway, I'm saying as a research guy, I like to kind of torture plants, but when you're on the farm or in a commercial setting, we can't afford to do that. That's why we try to have controlled trials.
Right, right. And we've always talked about getting you over here, and who knows? Maybe this is the summer. Who knows
Yeah,
if you're up for it?
I would. How's the well? I change the subject, but how's the old timer doing? Is he okay?
Oh, fantastic! Yeah,
Okay.
still kicking, still. Oh yeah, doing. doing really, really good. And so, for someone in his mid 80s, he's still excited about all this stuff. He's my mentor. He is the old wise one. And this is even getting him excited. And so it's just a very good culture we have here because we have a lot of customers here locally. I mean, thousands of acres that we work with and make mixes for and do all that for them. And so we're really excited to share this with them as well. And so we're just getting started, and it'd be neat if we can get you up here and I could take you on a tour, a farm tour.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I've been reading about some of the pioneers that from the 20s, 30s, 40s. I've been reading about William Albrecht and
Albrecht,
and
yeah.
his Albrecht. Yeah, that's where my book, the ideal soil, a lot of those ideas for the mineral bases, because some of the organics think it's just compost, but it's really not. It's minerals and life and compost, organic matter. But Albrecht and Kerry Reams, some of those guys,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
really am thankful for the contributions they made. And you know what? One of these days, you and I are going to be the old timers, and hopefully the next generations will say, "Well, I'm so glad what Brandon and what Harley did back in those days when they started really emphasizing the rhizosphere and the life in the soil." So it's cool. It's
Right.
cool to be part. I feel like I'm part of history right now when I
That's
read about the
true.
old
That's
guys and the new.
That's right. That's right. And you bring up Kerry Reams, and I got to spend time with one of his sidekicks, Robert Pike or Bob Pike.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Worked very close with the Kerry Reams system with Kerry Reams, and Bob Pike became a master composter. And to me, he introduced me to sap testing way before sap testing was, becoming a thing. So he's the one that really taught me about bricks and, phosphorus moving in the plant and uh, just so many things, that's going on in this leaf sap analysis. And so very thankful to Bob Pike. We became very good friends and spent quite a bit of time with him. And so, yeah, it's neat. The people you're bringing up. That's
Yeah,
fantastic. I love it.
yeah. I've been reading their work. I've been studying up from them because I always feel, sometimes, it's weird in science. Sometimes you really have to take a step backwards before you can go forwards. Why? Because you look at what happened in history, it went to all toward the chemical fertilizers and the big companies. So some of those earlier discoveries have been ignored over time. And sometimes you have to go back and, well, what if we would have gone a different direction? Where would we be now? Um, so
Yeah,
sometimes you just have to go back and look at some of the masters of the past so that you can say, let's try going down another road and see where that leads. But
that's
that's
right.
why for me that's really to go forward. Sometimes I have to look back and then go forward. And with plant science, I can read something that's from discoveries that were made in the 40s and they're just as relevant today. The plants haven't changed. You know,
Hmm.
the physiology hasn't changed. So I can go back there and look at it and say, okay, now we have better instruments. We can be more precise with our analyses. So, but what can we learn before, and what can we learn and how can we come up with new trials and new experiments for the future? And I'm
Man,
glad to be.
well said.
I can't thank you more, Brandon. This has been great today. I love hearing initial results. And I thank you for involving me in the project in some way too, because to me this is the way of the future and the new frontier, and it's a pleasure to be part of it.
Oh boy, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm so glad we've become friends. And now we get to do things like this just because we want to. I mean, we want to talk about this stuff. Whenever we've got together, this is what we talk about. And yeah, it's built a great friendship. And yeah, I'm honored to be able to sit here and do this with you and just hear your thoughts because it's so valuable. So yeah, we got some good stuff coming up.
Okay. I think that does it for today. Um, it's a good introduction. Next week, let's get into some details, or at least a few points, a few highlights
Hmm.
that we can
Hmm.
share directly from the data. Some of the things that have been proven so far.
Okay. Okay. And
Okay,
then I have biological essays too. I'm still waiting for the biological essay to come back. So after we do the nutrients, let's analyze the biological essays. So this will be fun.
it will. It is. It already is.
Okay.
Okay, I'll see you next week, Brandon. Have a good one.
Uh,
And
Okay, you too.
and
Thank
thank
you.
you. And thank you for the email and correspondence this week. It came in handy. Thank you.
Oh, I totally understand. Thanks for letting me know.
Okay, bye. See you later.
All right.